I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.
We're not just building muscle, we're building men. In the quiet hours, in the unfiltered moments, in the conversations that happen before the world wakes up. This is The Gloom, where brotherhood forms in the dark so we can lead in the light, where vulnerability is strength and leadership is handed from man to man, one story at a time. Our mission is to empower, exhort, and inspire men to achieve their best selves through stories of reinvigorated male community leadership. We bring you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha packs, ordinary men doing extraordinary things in fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, because we believe that every man has a story, and reinvigoration starts when that story is shared. This is The Glue in the Gloom. Shout out to our sponsors, Avior Wealth Management, Liberty Core Real Estate, Major Team Mortgage, Exclusively Eye Care, Omaha Laser Dentistry, and McNamara Law Firm. We appreciate your support. Yo, Gloom listeners, it's the Plague. Let me talk to you about our F3 brother, Amazin, aka Patrick McNamara with McNamara Law Firm, right here in Old Town Elkhorn. Amazin helps small business owners set up their companies, draft and review agreements, and make smart legal decisions so you can focus on growth instead of putting out fires. He also helps families with estate planning, like building living trusts that make sure your kids are ready when the time comes. Don't leave their future to chance. Connect with our brother Amazin today at McNamara Law Firm and put the right plan in place for your business, your family, and your future. Are you or someone you know in the market to buy a new home? Well, if so, check out Major Team Mortgage. They specialize in home purchase and refinance home loans. Their mission is to purposely empower people to experience their good life through building wealth with real estate. You know, showing up in the gloom is no different than showing up for a conversation around your future of building wealth with real estate. Join the action economy and get in the game with Sasquatch. Text or call John at 402-212-0149 to schedule a time today. Individual NMLS number 1393750. Company NMLS number 2478164. Equal housing lender. Now, let's get back to the gloom.
Welcome to the Gloom podcast.
Yeah.
This is my first time hosting, so long time listener, first time caller, I guess. But we're super pumped to have Mr. Rodgers here on the interview and dive into what makes F3 Omaha great, and it's the people. And this is just here to showcase exactly that.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
That was good. That was
Thanks.
really good.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you've listened to these before, we go through kind of your journey, right? Your EH story, first workout, you know, we'll cover fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, the infamous fourth F. But take us back. Like if you remember, you know, EH journey, would love to hear kind of what was going on in life before you got EH or before you decided to show up. And then how did you get the name Mr. Rodgers?
Well, you know, I actually had heard about F3 from Grills for at least a couple of years. I'd say a year and a half, 2 years before. And, you know, he didn't really push me that hard on it, but he would tell every time I saw him, which wasn't that often, he would talk about it. And I would vaguely hear some people outside my house.
The underground.
I could, yeah. And so I actually, the summer I got in, I went to, it was a lake house party at Cataract's lake house. It was like a scut dance team party, beginning of the year party.
Yep.
And we were talking and he asked me where I lived. And I said, Barrington Park, right across the street from Aldridge Elementary. And he goes, hey, he's like, we got to get you an F3. And I said, you know, I've heard of it. Do you know Davin Bickford or Grills? And he goes, yeah, I know Davin. And before I knew it, he was calling Davin during the party. We're just sitting there and he's like, hey, I got Nogg here. We're taking him to a Murph on Monday. You better be there. And so that's where it started. The cool thing was I live like right on the back side of Aldridge. So I didn't have to drive. I just had to walk. And so I get there and have no idea what a Murph is and got demolished. But loved it.
Yeah.
Loved the guys. I showed up and it was weird. I have an identical twin brother and there were two guys there. It was Chucky and Birdman who came up to me and they're like, we're really confused. We're like, we know a guy that looks just like you, and his son's on our baseball team. And, they figured out that it was identical twin brothers. So, so that was kind of a cool thing too. But in terms of my name, I get in the middle and probably one of the fastest Namoramas ever. I basically said, I'm Jeff Nogg, told them about my family, told them about my job. And then I said, I live right over there. And the greatest thing about this is I have no excuse. I don't even have to drive to the workout. And they're like, Mr. Rodgers.
Mr. Rodgers.
In
That's
the
really good.
neighborhood.
That's a really good name.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You're our neighbor.
But the funny thing about that too is about 2 months later, I was at like some fundraiser and Grills was there. And I'm like, Grills, why is there another Mr. Rodgers?
Yeah.
There was a second one. And he said, actually, he's my neighbor. And I go, well, why would you name him Mr. Rodgers? And he goes, because he came out once and he'll never come again. And it's a great name. So like we had to use it again.
Oh,
That is awesome. What, something I love about your journey, just as I've gotten to know you, right? Like it seemed like you're all in, right?
Oh,
like because now, talk about showing up to a Murph, being gassed, and now I think you've done probably 1,000 Murphs this year already,
yeah,
right?
But over 100 so far.
What was that progression like? Like, were you posting Tuesday, or what was sort of the?
So the first 3 months I posted twice a week, and I did not even drive to a workout. I went to Murph on Monday at Red Wings, and then I went to Top Rope. And then eventually I was like, I gotta ramp this up. So I got to start driving, start meeting other guys. And so just started going all out and went from 2 a week to like 5 to 6 a week. Pretty fast.
Do you think it was the workouts that wanted you to get more involved, or was it meeting more of the packs?
It was, I mean, at first it was the workout. Like all I was doing workout wise was basically a workout in my closet. Basically I was doing push-ups, I was doing sit-ups, I was doing dumbbell curls, and I was walking my dog. That was my workout. In the past I'd work out the gym, but I got to where I wanted to be home with my kids more. I was going to the gym in the morning, going straight to work. And so I got it to be where I was just getting up in the morning and doing a walk with my dog and doing that little workout. But I definitely needed more. So at the beginning it was the workout. But even from the first couple workouts, I'm like, these guys are great. And they're genuine. And my wife had told me, and I was offended by it at one time, but she was right. Like a lot of my friends, I mean, they're good guys, but it was more like a neighborhood kind of party environment, friends of kids' friends, parents too. And they're great people, don't get me wrong, but in terms of just the genuineness of the packs, and like so fast you feel comfortable talking about anything, that really got me. And I was going through, it's crazy how things work in life, because I was going through, I mean, really the whole time I've been in F3, I, for the most part, have been going through something big. One was my twin brother was diagnosed with brain cancer. And that was kind of right around the beginning. I think I got in July, and it was in October. And that was a big journey. And then also, as you guys know, my daughter, had an eating disorder issue, and that kind of piggybacked on that, and then kept going after my brother was cancer-free. And so it just shows you like the genuineness, and guys want to listen and they care. And I hadn't seen it that consistent, like from guys in the past. So
that's so cool.
It's important. I think that's one of the secret pieces that we have in the community here, the Packs of Omaha, is a lot of times these neighborhood groups are really by default because it's proximity and convenience.
Right.
And a lot of times you ask anybody, a 5:30 or 5:15 workout's really inconvenient.
Yeah.
But as you get out, you realize it's the only convenient time.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to build families and businesses and professions and just lives. Where else is that time going to fit in? And it just so happens that you get to piggyback off of building relationships, growing in your faith journey, or working through a valley or a peak of your life. And the packs will support your high or your low, support you in your low, and support your success in your high. I think that's really a cool, equation, if you will, to, just really welcome,
Exactly.
Comfortable and welcome,
But it's weird because the fitness starts combining with the fellowship, and it's like I was thinking back before this, like the examples, but the main like the one that shines out was we were at Oracle and we were doing a really tough workout. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it had to do with burpees and like a lot of burpees and just like in a short area, but you were doing bear crawls, you were doing burpees. And I just remember being right alongside LaserJet and we just went through this thing together.
Mhm.
And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I never could do this by myself.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where I was like, doing hard things and doing it with other brothers. Like that's the key.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't know anything about that before. I just felt like I had to brave through stuff by myself.
There's a really great quote. It's kind of three prong. One, it's not happiness unless it's shared.
Mm.
When joy is shared, it's doubled.
Mm-hmm.
And when misery is shared, it's halved. And I think F3 does a lot of that. And I think that's what you experience
That's
it
awesome.
for in stride of like, gosh, misery loves company because if you want to go far, you go with a group. You want to go fast, you go alone, but you burn out quick.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm curious where else you saw that, because I think you've done several of these challenges, right? Murph challenge, but talk us through like how that like continued this sort of like misery loves company, but also builds fellowship.
Right. Well, it really started with just really liking Murphs.
Okay.
and it got to
Is
be
there a support group for that?
I think
There kind of
there should
is,
be.
actually.
But like I met Edger and he's kind of my partner in crime on the Murphs, like the main partner in crime from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it seemed like we started off and we just decided to just start doing them before every beatdown. And then we got like Star-Lord and Farva were kind of the guys at the beginning that were kind of doing with us when we started doing a ton. And they were huge leaders in that as well. And then now it's kind of turned into, and we kind of have our own group name now. It's called the Wolf Pack.
Okay. Yeah. It's awesome.
And it's
Wolf Pack.
It started with Edger and I, but then then all of a sudden Dick was like, and he's head of the Wolf Den, Site Q, the Wolf Den. So we started doing those on Mondays. So we kind of came up, it was really him that came up with the Wolf Pack. And then Denied joined in. He got really consistent. And the Dufresne, before he went overseas, he was really consistent with us there. And then the last guy that recently, which is really cool, got on with us is Floaties. Because Floaties got a new job and he can't do beatdowns during the week. So he's like, I want to join you guys. And I know it's going to be hard. I'm going to keep you guys back. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, just come and join the crew. So it's been awesome to see him even over the last few weeks, just really grow into like just showing up.
You mentioned with Floaties kind of coming in the morning and having the perception of holding a group back. How important and how have you noticed being implemented talking about, one, the perception of the six, but two, expressing that doesn't matter. Everybody starts at a different point. How do you go about that? You've been in long enough now, you've EH guys. What's that conversation like for you talking about that?
It's a hard conversation because people don't believe you, but you just have to keep telling them. I mean, I have a bunch of guys that I've tried to get in and some I've gotten in that they're like, well, I'm going to have to get in shape first. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah. It's not how this works.
And I mean, the prime example to give them is Bullseye.
Yeah.
I mean, Bullseye is awesome. And he's gone through a huge journey, but honestly, that's the story that gets him in because you just see like the huge transformation he's made and that he wasn't afraid to come. Like he just came and he just keeps posting.
Yeah.
And so that's the one I use honestly, because it's more of like a larger than life story about someone that just comes to work out with a bunch of guys. Some are in great shape, some are in medium shape, some are just starting out to get in shape.
Yeah.
But no one cares and no one's judged and no one's left behind.
Right.
And that's hard to see or find.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the old, Dredd used to always say, we don't judge, but we observe and criticize out of love. Right. So, so we're going to say, hey, you've been walking for a while. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. But what's been, you think about like a transformation story like Bullseye, but for you, what's been your transformation from that physical fitness standpoint? Like, have you always been pretty good shape and into sports, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I've always been into sports. wasn't the best athlete, but loved sports. I think in high school, I got into working out like at the gym, kept doing it through college. I really stayed consistent. So my fitness was always pretty good, but nothing like where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm in the best shape of my life by far, especially in terms of running.
Mhm.
And I'm not a runner, and I'm always going to say I'm not a runner, but I do run because if you Murph, you run 2 miles, and then if you do a double Murph, you run 4, and I always say, oh, it's because it's separated running. That's why it's fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm in the best shape of my life because I remember even running a couple miles at the beginning and just hurting, and then now I can run it pretty much no problem.
That's awesome. What, so a lot of this we kind of started right with the fellowship piece and how that, just really helps guys transform. But for you, when you came in, so you knew a couple guys, but how did you go about sort of like making those connections that then you felt like, okay, now I can ask these guys if I can form a wolf pack or whatever.
Right.
What was that sort of journey like for you?
I've never had a time just going up and talking to people. But it's kind of strategic because, like you said, you want to talk to the new guys. You want to talk to, you want to get a lot of leadership skills and everything from the guys that have been in it. You even want to talk to, I love seeing like young guys coming out. Like those are the guys obviously we're all jealous of because they got in this way earlier. I got to do it at 45. And so it's nice. Like even I noticed Chugger like has been bringing out like not only his sons, but his sons' friends.
Yeah.
And they're all in their like late 20s. And that's awesome. I mean, that's the way to do it. So there's just so many different types and different strategies of how to get to know people. And I feel like I've balanced it between the young, the middle, the older, and just to try to gain a lot of insight from them, but also try to hopefully give them advice if I can.
So one thing that you mentioned with, the social aspect and the fellowship, and you've never had a problem kind of going out and putting yourself out there to introduce yourself, create relationships. Now, I know from my perspective, as we've gotten older, and your world kind of shrinks in terms of your influence because you're focusing on family and then work, and so you have these pods. Do you feel like, or have you noticed where some of these skills that you've had inherent to you, like being inclusive of other people and welcoming, and has allowed you to actually tap into that more and kind of regain some of that footing of like, that's me versus like, oh, I don't want to be caged in like, I have a business and this is my family and this is what I do and this is the box I live in. Has it allowed you to have that light shined upon some of those areas that maybe have been a little more dormant than you thought they were until you got to F3?
Yeah, 100%. Like, kind of like I said, before F3, I was just caught in that, like, the people I was around were always talking about business, always talking about their next deal, always talking about their next vacation. I think I just thought that was normal for people our age, but I didn't like it. I always felt uncomfortable with it because I'm not like a material type person or a showy type person. So once I got to F3 and just the conversations I had, it was just like, it was something I didn't know really existed as much. And really, especially like the vulnerable stuff, like, what you're taught in terms of being a man, or at least in this world now, that you don't need, you don't need to, I don't know, you don't need to grow. You're kind of just right in your zone.
With the herd.
Yeah, with the herd. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so just the unique conversations, the unique situations people are in, and like, especially with the COTs, like the vulnerability is just insane. And it's so nice for these people. Even like, just an example, like Dicka, unfortunately his dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I mean, Dicka is a guy that I think for the most part is private in terms of his family life, but it was awesome to see his vulnerability when he brought it out in his COT last week. And that's something that you're not going to get anywhere, and you're not going to get an opportunity to do. And so I've gotten a lot of opportunities to be vulnerable in my COTs, and I would have never gotten those feelings out, and I would have kept it all inside. And that's what I used to always do. So,
and they don't really need even land anywhere other than just some open ears that's going to be non-judgmental. It's like, I just need to unpack this for a few minutes and it's going to pay dividends for days, months, years.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because people all talk to about things that are kind of vulnerable topics. I mean, the nice thing is they're honest. They're like, yeah, hey, Mr. Rodgers, like, here's what I can help you with. But honestly, I don't even know what to say because I've never dealt with it, but I'm here to listen. And that's kind of what, and I like the honesty and I don't want people to just feed me a bunch of crap.
Well,
I want them to give it to me straight.
I told my wife one time when we were first married about how I had some relationships with some buddies in college that we had complete honesty and how refreshing that is, because you don't feel like you're trying to be somebody you're not ever.
Yeah.
It's like, this is it. This is good or bad or indifferent, and this is some baggage, and they're gonna call me on that if it's over the top or outside the kind of the lines, what I should be or which they know me to be. And then also they're gonna love me regardless and see what it looks like on the other side. I think that's super important. That's the brilliance of the packs. And then from there, an SLT or even better, like a shield lock that allows you to be able to be fully immersed in yourself, not selfishly, but awareness.
Yeah.
But I've been in some groups before where it's like kind of like a YPO, but like different. But you're talking a lot about business, a lot. And I honestly, I don't remember last time I've talked to anyone about business. It seems like recently because we sold our company. Because now people are asking me all the time, like, hey, what are you looking at? All that stuff, trying to help out. But before that, I didn't talk about work ever. And I love it. And it's kind of the same as I'm in this other Wild at Heart men's group. And when we go to retreats, they always say, this weekend, you're a chimney sweep. They don't want anyone talking about work.
Yeah.
Because it's not based on what you're supposed to be focusing on. It's supposed to be focused on yourself, your faith, on this type of Wild at Heart men's group.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
What's awesome to me is and I don't know if you realize this, but you referenced Ditka being vulnerable, but a guy like Ditka learns that's okay from a guy like you.
Right.
And there's so much sort of, connectedness between the fellowship and the faith and some of the things you've been through. So I don't know. I would love to hear like maybe just what that journey has been like when you think about going through your brother's stuff and then going through things with Riley and then going through things with your business or, like for guys that are maybe out there still suffering from like holding it in or, trying to act like they have it all together. Like talk us through like, what was your experience as you started to get comfortable sharing and then how did guys react?
I think once guys see that you're vulnerable, they're much more open to opening up and themselves, and they're much more open to asking you how Riley's doing. I mean, I got so many texts and so many just people come up to me at workouts. Hey, how's Riley doing? Or how's your brother doing? I think the more you're vulnerable, the more people start talking about those types of things. And then they start thinking about, well, what can I get help on or what can I share that's going to help me? And so I think that was the trouble with me was I started feeling like guilty that I was always just having this stuff, and I'm like, I want to help out. I want to help out other people. I don't want them to always be asking about me. I want to be asking about them.
That's awesome.
So that's where it was hard because it's like they just, the hard things just kept coming.
Yeah.
And I always say, if I wasn't an F3, I don't know where I would have been with those situations. I would have been in a much darker place.
Yeah. How comfortable are you sharing about the journey with Riley and how you handled that? I've got 3 girls. I'm sort of like, we know the world. I think the world is a little bit harder in terms of body image. Like, I don't know, just if another guy's maybe starting to see that or I don't know, anything that any advice you would have.
It was hard because I was getting into my F3 journey and a big part of it is fitness. And she couldn't work out.
Yeah.
And when she was in the heart of that, and she still can't to a big extent, it's hard because my wife would always like be a little cautious, like about me talking with F3 with her. And I'd go out to Tulsa when she was out there and I'd go do F3 because I needed it. And I met the guys out there and, but I started trying to just educate Riley on about F3, and it's not about fitness. It's about confidence. It's about growing as a person. It's about learning. It's about being intentional and caring about other people. It's about your faith, and telling her how much I needed this because it was giving me a bigger faith life, and other guys to help bring me there as well. So that was a big part of my journey, in terms of that. And, I mean, it definitely brought me a lot closer to God. And so, I wanted to bring that to her as well. And I've tried, and it's easier said than done, but, I've been trying to bring it to all the girls.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that. I mean, I've got $2 amongst all of us here. We've got a lot of girls.
Yeah.
Right. So 2 here, 3 there, it's 5. You've got
I had 4.
four girls. So girl dads unite right here. I don't know what the hand signal is for that, but when you're talking to your legacy, your offspring, your own home, your 2.0s, do you find it encouraging that she's at least willing to listen, or is it like, oh, is this even landing? Should I keep talking about it?
Hey, when you have teenage girls, I mean, only like 10% lands because they have a lot going on, and I think it's still hitting their brain, but they're not gonna really realize it till later.
Yeah.
But there's moments, a big moment from a teenage girl perspective, because you don't know if they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know what they're thinking half the time. They'll give you one-word answers. But like with the F3 retreat, when those letters came, like it was insane. And my older girls especially wrote these long letters, and it's like, oh my God, they listen to everything I say.
Right.
And they get it. They don't act like they got it, or they don't act like they really care, but they did. They're getting it. And it makes me want to keep doing it more. And so, I mean, that was talk about a moment where I probably cried more that weekend than I ever had in like years. Because, you really start to see like, what impact am I making? Like, that's a big thing with F3 and with just life. And this stage for me is like, what impact am I making? Like, what legacy am I leaving? And it's discouraging sometimes because you kind of feel a lot of times like you're not doing as well as you want to. But maybe that's just being hard on yourself. But I'm trying, I'm really trying to leave that legacy and that impact on the world and on my family and on my friends and my F3 brothers, the best I can, so I can make my life better as well as their lives better.
I love it. Living third, right? We kind of talked about that in F3 Delete book study this week. It's funny. My daughter came out. A few guys we were running this morning, and then we prayed at the end, and she came out and was there for the prayer as we're walking back inside. She goes, I see why you do this now. It's not just the exercise part. And I've been doing this 8 years. And I know I've talked to her about this before, but she just, this morning, some light bulb went off. The legacy thing is interesting because I think there's a lot of worldly things that we put in that legacy bucket, right? Money and houses and equity and property and businesses, right? But a lot of the legacy we get to leave is faith.
Right.
Your faith journey is, I think, absolutely fascinating, and would love to hear you sort of unpack like what was faith like growing up, and then would love to hear, like, I think a lot of guys are intimidated to take that step forward to figure it out. So if you could share any advice or learnings.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, I was raised Jewish, and was here in Omaha as a kid. Went to synagogue. My mom actually. Usually kids have their bar mitzvah at 13. My mom had her bat mitzvah at 35.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of like changed our family dynamic where, we started going to synagogue more. She got really into it.
Is that, just to kind of pause you for a minute, what is that event sort of symbolize?
It's like a coming of age, kind of in the Jewish religion. It's like becoming an adult. In the Jewish religion, when you have your bar mitzvah,
something like a quinceañera or a confirmation.
Yeah, it's kind of like a confirmation. Yeah, but it's more where like you're required to do like a community project. You're required to lead the service in front of all the community. So it's a big thing, and like back in the day, mostly boys did it and women didn't do it as much.
Yeah.
And my mom really didn't want to do it when she was a kid, so she didn't. But then at 35, she felt like she wanted to do it. So that kind of changed our family dynamic. And then it was a part of my life. It was a community thing. I went to Israel twice in high school on like kid trips. Just a very big culture thing for me. Went to college, hung out like with the Jewish kids, but also without. You know, it was kind of like I was starting to branch out as well. Moved to Atlanta after college, met my wife, who's from Richmond, Virginia, Catholic. Fell in love with her, and we decided to get married and eventually start a family. And we, at the beginning, decided to raise the kids Jewish, moved back to Omaha from Atlanta. And then about 2016, you know, I just wasn't feeling it. And it was nothing against the religion itself. It was just, I wasn't feeling the spirituality that I wanted to feel. And it was weird when I went to church with my wife for like Easter and Christmas, I'd start to feel it. I don't know if it was the music or if it was what it was, but I kind of wanted to explore it more. And so I basically told my wife, like, let's take a step back from Judaism for a little bit and let's try out Christianity a little bit and just kind of see how it works. I have this weird feeling that I'm going to like it and that I'm going to really delve into it. And so sure enough, I did. Even after 2016, so it's been 10 years, we're still figuring it out. I mean, it's very hard with my wife being Catholic. She's trying to figure out what she wants. I'm trying to figure out what I want. We want to get the kids involved. I mean, I'm going to church some weeks and I'm reaching out to F3 guys and saying, hey, save me a seat.
Yeah.
Because maybe no one else wants to go that week. But it's nice because I have that community now where guys are like, yeah, for sure. We're saving we got your seat saved, you know? So it's good. And I even got baptized at a men's retreat I was at this last year, which was amazing. And so I'm all into it. Even with F3, I got into a Bible group with Edger, Chicken Hawk, Katrina, and Big Unit. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. But we basically have a Bible app, and then every month we'll meet to kind of talk through, and you can make comments in the app about what you're thinking or what. And then we come back and kind of just do the highlights and everything. So that's been amazing because I've never read through the whole New Testament before, and I'm doing it now. Yeah. So, and I've been really consistent.
You've got the Old Testament memorized. Though.
I do.
You're good. Yeah.
Do you really?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, one thing too, that feeling that's exactly what the Holy Spirit does. So you're feeling the movement of the Holy Spirit, but you know, how has that faith element helped maybe solidify some foundational elements for you as a person, and then also help that pay it forward?
You know, when I do a COT, I always include a Bible verse, and that's how I relate now to almost everything. And it's just amazing once you delve into it, how much it just relates to real life. And so I try to, I mean, that's how I try to pay it forward, is to basically tell people my journey. And I'll bring it up when we're running, and I'll be like, hey, did you know I grew up Jewish? You know, I kind of do that. And then I'll kind of tell the story and just say how, you know, what my faith journey has been. And I've just had a lot of tough things happen the last number of years, and that faith has brought me through. I mean, I know that's what it is. I mean, I was just even thinking about it today. It just brought me through the hard times. And without that, I don't know, once again, without my F3 brothers, without my other Wild at Heart men's group, and without God and Jesus, I don't know how I would have gotten through it or where I'd be now.
Do you think, is it like a rock bottom scenario where you had so many hard things hitting you at once that you were just like, I don't know what else to try? Or it sounds like you were maybe like on your way, like pursuing, you know, more the Christian faith. And then these things happened and just kind of propelled that forward. It propelled me forward for sure. I'll never forget, because at that time I was going to Love Church, and I remember I'd started F3 a few months before,
And so, like I said, I wasn't going. This is probably around the time I started going more, and once my brother was diagnosed, but I'll never forget going to like they had like a Wednesday morning early, like 6 a.m. service at Love.
Wow.
And I remember going there, and this was like the day of his surgery where they were going to take out the tumor, and just I'll never forget that feeling of like learning. And it's weird; it like changed my mindset from like that everything happens for a reason and that I can't control it.
Yeah.
I just have to have faith in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuck. That stuck with me because every time something bad happens or something challenging, like ultimately right in my head, it goes, there's a reason why this is happening. I don't know it. I might not ever know it, but there's a reason and I just have to trust it.
Yeah.
Very freeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're by default, right? We're bad at, like going and surrendering to God, right? So like if he gives us these opportunities and sometimes we succeed, and so then at least for me, I get excited about how great I am, and then every time God will constantly be sort of nudging with some of these things that seem bad, right? You look in the Bible and it's like Abraham and even Isaac, right? I'm gonna populate the world through you, but then your wife is going to be barren, and what's the goal of that from God's perspective? It's come back to me. I'm the all powerful, all knowing,
Right.
all present God that can solve these problems, but I'm the only one that can do it, which is fascinating to think. As these things came up, it brought you closer. I would also be curious, like, it's not easy to like switch, like to go from one
Right.
religion to another, especially something that's so embedded in your family and
Yeah.
your sort of culture or community. What was that transition, or like what was that like? Have you lost some friends, or are people like, yeah, that's cool, or what's I don't know.
It was interesting. I mean, especially with my family, it was hard because it's hard to know like my motivations. Like they didn't know what my motivations were. Was it because I just thought it would be easier for the family to just get together and have more camaraderie on that, or was it really me that wanted to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think what the challenge has been. But over the consistency of what I've been doing, when my parents and my brother and my sister have really just kind of grown with it, and they're always asking me about it. They're fine with it, and my dad even we were on a trip. And he's like, you know what? There's all that stuff you've been doing, with church and with F3 and I just see so many changes in you and good changes. So
That's cool.
Awesome.
people eventually, I think they get worried because they're like, well, why this big shift? And then once they see the consistency of it and the strength in it, then they start to say, well, this is for real, and we can't be judgmental, and we just have to accept what it is.
Mm-hmm. That's I think that's a great segue. What was on my mind was you talked about some of these heavy life, seasons that you've been through, and amongst it all, it seems like I've kind of known you since the beginning when you just came out, but in the middle of all of it, you were identified as a leader and you took over a site, Canopy, and talk to us a little bit about how that came about. And you're juggling all these things external that you don't have control over, and then somebody's just going to approach you, like, "Hey, what's your interest in taking over the leadership role of being a site Q?"
I was thinking about that too recently, and it's kind of the same as like it's like the progression in F3. Like, okay, when are you going to do your first Q? And I remember Armando was the one that was kind of pushing me at Red Wings, and in your mind you're like, well, this is like too early. Like I just started. But the big lesson in life with all this stuff is there's never a right time.
That's great lesson.
You have to just do it, and you don't need to be fully prepared.
No,
you just got to do it. And so same with the Q. I mean, luckily the Q, the first Q I had was Murph, which it's not like you have to create a designed workout. So that was a good one to start
Core
off
principles
with.
and COT.
Yeah, it was
right?
great. So, but then in terms of the site Q, it was grills and bubbles. Had started the Canopy, but only wanted to run it for like 3 months and wanted to get some people on. And grills they actually said, "Hey, you want to come out to coffee separate?" We went somewhere separate after Canopy one day. I think we went on a run. That's what it was. And they said, "You want to take over Site Q, and we're going to also have Ambra do it as well. We want someone that has experience and someone that doesn't."
Mm.
And so I honestly didn't even think about it. It was one of those things where I kind of got in that mode already, where I'm like, I want to grow, I
Yeah.
want to lead. And I felt like I was becoming a way better leader in F3, just in life in general. And so I said yes. And I told Ambra right away, I'm like, hey man, you don't really need to do much. I want to really do this.
Yeah.
Well, he took you at your word. That's
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
did. He did.
Shout out Arbor.
No, he's
I'm
great.
just kidding.
Hey, Ambra
I
was
love it.
great, man. Ambra's great. But I just told him, I said, listen, I'm glad you're doing this with me, but I really want to take a leadership role and I really want to go at this. So like, I'll do the pre-blast. Like I'll get a lot of the guys. You can help me get guys for Qs and you can help me when I'm gone. But like, I really want to take the leadership role here if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
And he was good. He was chill. And he just said, I'm here to help, whatever you need. And so did that. And honestly, I loved it so much that like when I was done, I was like, I might want to do this again,
Yeah.
and like not give it up.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know the rules on that. But when I first started thinking about that, then all of a sudden Feng Shui came up the line and I'm like, oh man, he's ready. So, and he was perfect. So I was like, you know what? I want to give him an opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so cool. I would be curious. You referenced a couple times the Wild at Heart men's group.
Yeah.
And sort of zooming out a little bit, not just F3 leadership, but leading other men, I think sometimes involves like helping guys figure out who they are, right? Sort of that identity, purpose,
Right.
calling sort of thing that I think Wild at Heart kind of helps with.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if you would be willing to share like with guys, like what are some of the key things that you've maybe learned from Wild at Heart that have helped you just sort of feel comfortable in your own skin?
I think the big thing, is like the adventure part of Wild at Heart. And part of that I just think is like F3, like just even like the hard workouts, who are you going to be in F3? Like I feel like I'm the guy that's going to do the hard things. I'm the guy that's like looking, I was telling someone today, like I'm the guy that's looking for the hardest workout on the sheet. Because you start to know the cues and you start to know who's going to give you the best, hardest beatdown. And that's where I want to be. So, but then there's guys that like, everyone has their own journey. Like some people's favorite part is coffee and talking. And some people's part is mumble chatter during the workout. And so they want maybe more of a chiller workout. So you just kind of have to find your journey, but that's the biggest thing is the adventure. And just doing things before you're ready.
Yeah.
I think that highlights an element of nothing is certain. And even though you're searching for like maybe a hardest workout or the other guy, the cue, and you kind of know their style, there's an element of the unknown that is very provocative. And you're like, no, I'm drawn to that because I know it's going to tap something in me that I haven't had before. And then I'm going to come out on the other side and I'm going to be just a click on the dial different. Or I might just have but in my opinion, it's actually the desire to be stronger for uncertainty. Because that's the one thing we do know for sure is everything, it is uncertain in that aspect that like, I'm just a little more prepared for whatever it is I need to be prepared for. Everything happens for a reason. It's not on my timeline. It's somebody else's plan. And I think you are literally living that idea for as small of an increment on the dial that you turn to as big of one as when you're dealing with some major life stuff with your family. Those are all preparing you. And you've now survived the worst day of your life. It's like, hey, now that's behind me. I'm better now, or I'm in a better place. I'm more equipped, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Of bringing up the adventure piece from the Wild at Heart. It's really cool.
But that's the big thing about adventure too. And I did this in like COT at Combine, like in December. Was at the end of the COT, I was like, and I was talking about like 2026. I'm like, this is a huge year for me. I've got a lot of things going on. With like Riley going to college and all my other girls kind of hitting their milestones. Last one in elementary school, going to be 2 in high school the following year. My company I knew we were doing some things, going to sell the buildings and I was going to be starting a new adventure from a job perspective. And so I basically at the end of my COT was like, before F3 in this situation, I would have been 80% fear and 20% adventure. And now I'm totally the opposite. I'm about 80% adventure, 20% fear. So that is like, that just shows F3 because you have the support. Like you're not afraid because you have guys to help you.
Yeah.
And you have way more confidence and just way more consistency and way more discipline than you ever had in your life. It's just like when I get up, I mean, every morning I get up, I don't even think about if I'm going to fart sack or not.
Yeah.
The only time I fart sack is when I'm just exhausted from just too many workouts in a row.
Too many Murphs.
It's not because I'm going to be, I'm too tired or.
It's not because you don't want to be there.
No.
Yeah.
It's just because I think it's smart being 48 that I probably should just maybe once in a while take a day off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. But that just shows you like what you learn. It's like it's like taking action.
Well, what a great mindset to have of shifting 80% fear, scarcity mindset, turning it on its head, going to 80% adventure, 20% fear. And now it's anticipation or just like openness to seeing what can happen. Cause you just know it'll work out as long as I persist in the consistency, which you've already shown is such a place for confidence.
And also the faith.
Yeah.
Because the faith,
having the faith.
I didn't have the faith
Huge.
before.
Yes.
And now I
huge.
have the
Great
faith.
point.
So if you have faith, then that's going to pull you through as well.
What would you say, like, if you were to think back, and I so kind of a two-part question, but like, not every guy I don't feel like has gotten to the point. There's guys who have been in F3 longer than you and maybe haven't experienced that transformation.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, like, what do you think it is about you that allowed that to happen? And then also, what would be, I don't know if you have any advice or like, what would you tell a guy to do if he's like, man, I want that. Like I see this like light, sort of
Right.
in you, but I've been doing the workouts and I've been doing the coffee but I'm not feeling that. What, I don't know.
I think the thing that really did it for me was when I got involved in the community. And, over all the years, I had young kids. I was working a lot of hours. My wife got involved in all these great events like Children's Hospital Gala and Make-A-Wish. And she was doing all these cool community things. I was not doing any of it. I was just so like spread thin between trying to be around the girl. My most important priority was hanging out with the girls when I was not working. But the girls got a little bit older and I started listening a lot to Tim Tebow on YouTube.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And got just really motivated about things. And then he started talking about his event that he does called Night to Shine. And I was like, I need to find like a purpose, like what is my purpose? Where can I make an impact once again? And so that's really where it really helped me. And it kind of just molded in with F3, but like, to like go, and I basically went straight to the church where Night to Shine was, and I said, "How can I help?" And they said, "Well, I don't know. What can you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm good at raising money." And they're like, "I go, how do you raise money for this event?" And they said, "We just take it from the church budget." And I said, "Well, that's not good."
Yeah.
I go, "Give me a shot. Let me see what I can do." And then that first year, I raised about $25,000 for them, and they were like, "Geez, that was amazing. Can you do that again next year?" And I go, "Yeah. I mean, I want to do it. I want to help." And that was like just the kids with special needs. Like that was something like close to my heart. And I, like I said, I wanted to make that impact, have that purpose. And that's what I told my daughter, like right after she graduated from Scott this last week. I said, now it's time to find your purpose.
Yeah.
Like you've gotten through your, childhood. Now you have to see, so what was why am I here? Like what's my purpose? And so it took me longer than that. I want my girls to find it or start finding it earlier than I did. But my purpose is that, but my purpose is also now it's like helping other men, like helping other men that aren't in this, helping men that are in it. Yeah. And and they've already helped me. So I need to give it back.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so cool to me that that you identified your purpose is not a job title or like a job. I think at least for myself, I think many other guys, right? That's the struggle, right? Is we get a degree, we get a job, and then we think that's our purpose
Right.
or like our identity. But then when the job goes away, then you're sort of like midlife crisis. What do I do? And what's cool to me is like hearing your full story and how God has been working in and through you. You're now in this place that for a lot of guys would just be a total like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
But you're in a place where you're like, let's go. Like,
Yeah,
I
let's
don't
do
really know what to do,
something.
but
Yeah.
I'm not scared,
Right.
you know? And I think that's such a cool, healthy spot for
Yeah.
guys to be in.
Mm.
Anything else that maybe we missed or didn't ask about that would want to share with guys that maybe you've learned or that you think other guys would benefit from hearing?
I just think the thing about F3 is like it's like a fraternity. Like it's like a fraternity where you can just really grow with guys and you have that support. And then there's just all these like moments that are really like game changing moments that you eventually think about, or just like funny stories, or like I I always think about like just like little things. Like I remember like a Murph at Wolf Den. I don't know if it was Memorial Day or Labor Day, and I remember Moonshine like somehow like really hit his head hard on the bar when he's doing pull-ups,
Oh,
and like nearly like stitches, you'd think. And T Swift was there, and like to this day, every time T Swift is at Wolf Den going around after Namorama, he will see Moonshine and say, "Doink."
doink.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
That's
so like
awesome.
little things like
Yeah.
that is just funny. Or like I'll never forget when the first time we did a Smurf at the Wolf Den. It was probably like 5 or 6 of us, and we would look at the route on the X page, but it's kind of bizarre, and I'm not really good with directions anyway to begin with. But the 5 of us got lost, and we ended up running 3 miles instead of 2 miles.
Yeah.
We got lost on the way there and lost on the way back. And it was freezing, but like you'll never forget that. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like a moment like that you'll remember, and that's what's great is you like have memories in the gloom that are memories you just would have never had.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it really kind of flips that, right? So like we see guys not grow out of adolescence, and so then the stories with my buddies are at a bar or in kind of these sketchy scenarios, and now you've got all these stories with your friends, and they just so happen to be like while you're working out, but that's still sort of creating those memories
Right.
that you'll never forget. I love it. Where we like to kind of land with guys is just current state. I have some guesses where your prayer request might come from, but want to hear from you. What can we be praying for, or what sort of encouragement, support do you need?
I just think prayers for just my next adventure from a occupation standpoint. Just prayers for my family. I mean, we've had a lot of stuff going on, and just I got my first going to college. Just a lot of prayers for Riley. A lot of prayers for the other girls going into high school and middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And just prayers for just really fellow packs that that are just in our prayers right now, and continuing to just give those guys support, and they've helped support me through a lot of stuff. So I'm just here to support them.
I love it. I'm hoping you'll write a book about raising girls that LPC and I can read when our girls are in the middle school. High school.
I'll write the prelogue.
Right. Yeah.
About, hey, just a caveat. I'll come at this a different spot to our life.
Heck yeah. I love it. Well, let's do a little Namorama to wrap us
All
up
right.
here. I'll start and then we'll end with you. All right.
Right.
Brandon Flehardy, 40, The Plague.
I'm Tyson Compton, 40, LPC.
LPC, Jeff Nogg, 48, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rodgers. And what's the callback? Do we?
Okay, so LaserJet always goes, "Hi, neighbor."
Oh, okay.
But then most guys do. If I'm at Aldridge, they'll say "in the neighborhood."
In the
Or
neighborhood.
if I'm somewhere else, which is a lot of times out of the neighborhood.
Oh,
I like
So it
that.
changes
Good?
a little
Isn't
bit.
that good? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Cool.
Well, I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks
That's
a lot.
great.
Thanks, guys.
Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. We've been broken, we've been bruised, but we rise again and we don't get to choose. Through the fire, through the fight, every man's story burns in the night. Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. On a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. Every man's got a story. Voices rise like thunder, they roll. Truth in the pain, it's shaking the soul. Chains may rattle, but they break in time. Every man's story is yours and mine. From the struggle to the glory, every man's got a story. In the dark or in the light, we keep marching through the night. Every man's got a story inside. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop hill. Every man to the mountaintop hill.